Hari Om, welcome to this class on Kathopnishad. We'll start with the chanting first. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahi Kavim Kavinam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Ana Shrinvanutibhi Sid Sadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namah Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are starting this class on Kathopnishad. We are into the last part. There are 2 chapters with 3 sub-chapters. So, 2 adhyay, 3 valli. So, each chapter has 3 parts. So, the first adhyay with 3 vallis we have finished. The second adhyay we are into the final valli, the 3rd part. So, first chapter, 3 parts. Second chapter, 3 parts. So, this Dvitiya adhyay, Dvitiya valli, we have seen the first 2 verses. I dwelt for some time on the sadhanas or how to attune our mind once the knowledge is there, because this section is more about that, because earlier in most part the knowledge has been revealed, the knowledge has been told. So what happens is there is always 2 parts of sadhana. The first part is when we begin our journey, so then the mind should be prepared to receive the knowledge, because otherwise we get distracted, like we don't have enough punyam, we don't even get a chance to listen to the knowledge. So once we have the requisite chance, the opportunity, and we are able to listen from the Guru, the knowledge, then also it is said the work is not over. We have to move forward, because we have to make that knowledge our own, right? So, in the words of the Upanishad, the 3 things that are most important have to be in synchronization: Jnana, Ichha, and Kriya, right? So, my Jnanam, my knowledge should be synchronized with my Ichha, my desire. That yes, when I am desiring something, I should always remember, why should I run after the transient things? This same rule applies for the worldly things also. We'll see that in Purush Sukta also. But if we apply this for the highest goal, then the Gyan, the Kriya, and the Ichha. So our Kriya also should be attuned. So whatever my knowledge is, my Kriya should also be according to that. So once this samanvaya, this coordination is there, then only I can say that the knowledge has been totally absorbed, right? So when we looked at it in the last time, we saw that here Yamaraja was telling us about the nature of this consciousness, as well as depicting it as the Adhishtanam, the Adhishtanam being, he said, Ananda. So Ananda, the joy, that highest joy. Right. So now we have seen earlier in the last class. So I'll just repeat, because I think some people were not there. So recording also was not there, unfortunately. But the essence, what we have to look for is that Sat Chit Anand is the essence. Sat is the existence. Chit is the consciousness. But Ananda, the main, the infinitude or the infinite joy. And we saw that how do we see that? We have to see the one in the many. So like we took the example of numbers, you can make 4 groups of 4 fruits each. All the 4 fruits are different, but conceptually by your intellect you have to grasp, बुद्धि से समझना है कि उनमें एकत्व है, there is oneness within them by their number. The same number. So same way, the wise person will also see the different objects of the world with different flavors, qualities, etc. But behind them, he sees the same essence, right? And for that, for grasping of that essence, we saw that the we have to synchronize our inner forces, both the devas and asuras. So once we synchronize them, then only we can function so that whenever they rise up, these forces, then we can utilize them in the best way. So we saw that both the devas and asuras are son of the same Prajapati or same mother also, Aditi. So in this way, both are actually forces from coming from one source only. Now both of them can take us different ways. We saw that if we use one force for some kind of activity, like if I say I have power, I have strength, then with that strength, the one with one who has the Devic power, he will say, I have the strength to protect someone, right? Where the Asuric will say, I have the strength to harm someone. So both are doing opposite things, but ultimately both are showing abhimanam or ego of their power, strength. So ultimately both have to overcome that. So when we look at the devas and the asuras, the first thing we have to see is that they are both taking us in two different directions. So one direction is preferred, the positive one, but we have to give up the abhiman. Abhimanam is not to be there. And then how do we approach them? With Agni, with the knowledge, the fire of knowledge, because we saw Agni can go both sides with the devas as well as the asuras. It can burn and hurt someone. It can cook the food for also for you, right? So when we look at these asuras, or we can only see that how do they appear? Because both are immortal. The devas and asuras both are immortal. Some bhava comes to me, anger, lust, greed, anything, kam, krodh, lobh, moh. So whenever or any of them comes, I may get over it at one particular time, but after some time it will come again. So they take different bodies, different forms, different in the form of different desires they come. So Kam, Krodh, all come with attached with different. So they never die, right? So what is the right approach then? The right approach is we have to take them in the spirit of Yajna and use them for uh, directing our pursuit, right? So if I am not supposed to have some good food which is not good for me, then I tell the mind, today you will not have any food. I will show anger. Or if there is something that is desired for the good of society, then I will show greed. So I should know where to apply all the negative forces so that they can do good for me and the society. So that way we can utilize, because we can't kill any of them, right? We have to direct them properly. So that in that way, we use our sense organs to observe both the Devic and Asuric forces, or you can say the mind, and then make them into guide them into the right direction, right? So once they are guided in the right direction, then we can increase our bhava of offering ourselves to the Lord. So we saw the example of any verse we can take up, like Sam Sadashiv Arpanamastu. So everything I offer to Shiva. Initially, it is just a verbal offering, but slowly it has to come from the heart. So for that, we saw that just like puja, we have to do every day. Initially, we don't understand the meaning, but later on, the meaning comes on its own slowly after regular practice. Just like we are training in the military. So in the military, if the training is not there, when the enemy comes, we will not be able to fight. So we have to keep training ourselves so that we can offer ourselves to the Lord. We saw that we saw a verse, Tava Swadhisthane Hutavaham Adhisthaya Nirata. Tava Swadhisthane. So we are offering ourselves to the Lord through Devi Ma. So we call her as our Adhisthana. We say that your Adhisthana, O Devi Ma, is that Hutavaham, is that Agni, who will carry us towards you. And who is Niratam, who is full of the pure love. Niratam. Right. So this Adhishtanam, we saw there are two ways of looking at Adhishtanam, Adhi and Sthanam. Sthanam is where we live, but Adhi is where I have a sense of ownership, adhikar, right? So whenever we look at any object, like we took the example of the rope. So the rope has length, it has thickness, and it has also the jute, the material. But that same jute will hide from our view when there is semi-darkness. And then it might even appear like a snake or a rope, a snake or a flowing stream or anything else that has a similar shape. So whatever we see superimposed, that will have the same length, same thickness, but the material will not be visible. The material will become something else. So that is the work of Maya, or how it hides from us our Swarupam. But two things it can never hide. So there are three aspects of our Swarupam: Sat, Chit, and Anand. Out of that, Sat and Chit are always available. I exist is always known to me. It can never go away. And I know, or I'm conscious of things, or I can know everything. That also is always there. But how much? That is hidden. So the infinitude, the infinite nature of my self, that is hidden from me. Right? So that we have to build up. That Ananda, which we call Bhuma in Chandogya Upanishad, or the highest Ananda, that is what we have to uncover by realizing that in different states of practice, like when in at the meditational level, we can go into samadhi. So in samadhi, what is happening? Normally, what in deep sleep, I have the conditioning that everything has disappeared from view. So I am in a sort of joy, but that joy, in that joy, the boundarylessness is not known to me. कहाँ वो बाउंड्री है, वो उसको रोक रही है, वो हमें नहीं दिख रहा है. बट वी डोंट नो द बाउंड्री, वी डोंट नो द बाउंड्री लेसनेस ऑल्सो, वी डोंट नो द इनफाइनाइट नेचर. बट इन समाधि आई नो द इनफाइनाइट नेचर. So there we saw the example of Narsimha Avatar, where he kills Hiranyakashipu at the doorstep, neither out, neither inside. So that represents this very fact that whenever we are considering ourselves entrapped inside, or at the door jam also, then we are in ego. Hiranyakashipu represents ego. So it's a very beautiful story, the slaying of Hiranyakashipu by Narsimha Avatara. It is filled full of Vedanta. So when I wrote about it, every line would come out so beautifully how it describes. Maybe someday we'll look at that, but it's very long. So maybe we'll understand. But the basic concept is, what is Prahlad? Prahlad is Prakarshena Aladadi, the highest joy. So that highest joy can be discovered by opening myself to my true nature, and that is coming through Samarpanam. He does Samarpanam to Vishnu Bhagwan, who later appears as Narsimha Avatar, right? And then he destroys the intervening problem, which is Hiranyakashipu, which is ego. So that it is very bright, Hiranya. It is full of light, because what is the ego after all? The ego is the reflection of the consciousness. So it is Hiranya. But Hiranya Akshipu, it is limited, right? So that limited ego makes my Swarupam also appear limited, right? So in this way, this story tells us about how to discover the true nature. So this once the infinite nature is known, then I am able to go beyond the limitations which always troubles me. My highest Ananda is known, right? So we saw in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also that this Parabrahm Paramatma is mentioned as Om Kam Kham Brahman. So Kham is Akasha, Kam is Ananda. So this Ananda we have to keep discovering by remembering that whatever the situation, the Ananda is coming from within me, and Ananda is not limited. One sense organ can know touch, one can know taste, and so on. So they are all limited. But Ananda is not perceived by any single sense organ. It is perceived wholly through my whole being, not just the sense organs, but everything. जब आनंद मिलता है सब जगह रहता है. So therefore, we have to continually understand this Ananda as our Adhishthana and reach it through Hutavaha, through the Agni, which is the offering. So when we offer ourselves, to this Agni. He takes our sense organs and he transforms them. He transforms them because when we offer the limited or the mortal sense organs, the Lord gives us back to them by making them Amritam. Right? So we saw the example that whenever we offer anything to the Agni, then it becomes Amritam or immortal. Right? It becomes imbued with the immortal essence because whatever reaches the Devatas is not the Ghritam, but the essence behind that. And essence is Satchitanand. So they receive. So that in that way, the Lord makes all our sense organs also infinite in this way. Right? So that Uma, that infinite Ananda is revealed to us in this manner, right? So next we go on to the next verse now. Okay. So that we saw in the first two verses where this was revealed. So now भयादस्य अग्नितपति भयात् तपति सूर्यः भयात् इन्द्रश्च वायुश्च मृत्युर्धावति पंचमः भयात् अस्य अग्नितपति भयात् तपति सूर्यः भयात् इन्द्रश्च वायुश्च मृत्युर्धावति पंचमः. So that Parabrahm Paramatma is the one who is controlling the universe. From his power only everything is running in the clockwork fashion. So here Yamadharmaraja is explaining that the previous verse we saw Mahad Bhayam Vajram Udyatam. He is holding a Vajram, thunderbolt by which everyone is afraid of him and then they obey him. Right? So why do we say Brahman is the source of fear? Yamadharmaraja says it is because all the Devatas are functioning perfectly without violating the law. So Bhayat Asya Agni Tapati and Bhayat Tapati Surya. So all of the Devas are functioning by his power and by fear of him. So all the Devatas are what? They are representing the natural forces. They all represent the different natural forces. Okay, so the force which governs or controls the earth is the Prithvi Devata, because of which the earth is following all the laws associated with the earth, like going around the sun or going around its own axis with the gravitational force. So similarly, the sun also rises and the sun also sets. So Surya Devata, that is Surya Devata. So every natural force is a Devata. And all these Devatas are functioning because they are frightened. Frightened in the sense that they see someone more powerful who controls them, without whose power they cannot function. जब तक चैतन्य अपनी शक्ति नहीं देगा, वो नहीं काम कर सकते. So there is tremendous power behind Ishvara. Therefore, Yamadharmaraja says, Asya Bhayat, because of the fear of Ishvara alone, from his fear alone. Asya here means that highest Brahmana, Brahma, or Parameshwar, you can say. So Asya Bhayat, Agni Tapati, the fire burns. And then the fire is the Agni Devata who is doing the job of burning or cooking or whatever. Or whatever the laws that Agni follows, the law of combustion, etc. So that is those laws are followed by Agni. And then Bhayat Tapati Surya, the sun shines, the sun does his duty again out of fear of this God only. Surya here is Surya Devata. Similarly, Bhayat Indrascha Vayuscha, Indra Devata, who represents the rains. You know that if Indra Devata does not bless, there will be no rain. So we require the seasons to regularly revolve. So this rain principle is Indra Devata and Vayu. Indra is assisted by Vayu Devata because Vayu Devata will bring the rains. So because of the monsoon will come how? The wind has to push them. So these things, whatever you see these, we can know about them. A meteorologist can know about these forces, but they cannot control them. They cannot, they can understand them, but they cannot create them and they cannot maintain them. All these are maintained by that highest power only, right? And we know that these cannot also function accidentally. We can never accept the theory of accident because statistically, it's not true. Even the scientists themselves will say that accidentally everything happening perfectly, the chance is almost zero. So there must be some force behind that is controlling everything. अपने आप नहीं हो सकता सब कुछ. So, sorry. And that then who is maintaining that invisible intelligence? Bhayat, Indrascha, Vayuscha. So four devtas have been enumerated: Agni, Surya, Indra, and Vayu. So if you notice from Sanskrit knowledge, the verb is not there. Bhayat, Indra, Vayu. And what are Indra, Vayu doing? So their verb is missing. So you can supply the verb Swasva Karyam Karoti. Whatever their duties they perform. So each one does his function or performs his duty. And then where is the besides them there is another very important devta who is that? Mrityu. Mrityu Dhavati Panchama. So this Yamadharmaraja is telling about himself also. I am also doing my duty because of that fear of that Paramatma. He himself very humbly accepts that. And Dhavati. He is very, very busy person. So he keeps running around. He has to run around a lot. So if Kal Devta is not functioning, you know what the situation will be. Everything will be chaos. So from this, it is very, very clear that everybody is afraid of Yama, but Yama himself is afraid of Ishvara. Therefore, if you want protection from Yama, for protection from death, then don't search here and there. You will never get immortality by going after this. And you only way you can escape is Ishvara Ekyam, right? Ishvara Ekyam, which was symbolized in the Markandeya story, where he is becoming immortal by embracing the Shivalinga. So embracing Shivalinga means what? Embracing the oneness, right? So this way. So whatever be the whatever be our goal in life, we have to modify it to move it towards Paramatma. Because, this Parameshwar we saw is the one who's making everything run according to his rules. He has made the rules of nature. Nothing can break those rules. So people see a factory is running smoothly. Then automatically you will infer that the owner is a man of rules. And that is why everything is running smooth. सब कुछ बढ़िया से चल रहा है. कोई एक expert बंदा है, someone who's there. But foolish people, even on seeing the world running smoothly in every aspect with clockwork efficiency, and they still negate the presence of a sentient entity. And they attribute the cause to a dead, lifeless, and inert nature. Nature is dead, lifeless, and inert. Nothing in nature moves on its own. So just because they are stubborn and won't accept the logic. So in this case, science is blind here to logic. It is behaving like a superstitious person. So every atom is controlled and ruled by him. So when to give fruit and to which person, at what time, at what place, in what quantity, all decided by him. And all those rules are provided accordingly. So we are free within those limits, or we are action, whatever. हम जो करना चाहें, within those limits we can perform, but those limits are always imposed by him. So Paramatma's rule is so strong that the biggest divine forces obey him. No? Sun can never go on leave. No? छुट्टी पे तो नहीं जाता है. It keeps on shining and moving as per the laws. So, like for us, for humans, no, even making a small child obey us is a tough task. So, but for him, everyone obeys fully. So only the one who knows him as his own nature, that person can become one with him and move out of the control of those rules. So Ekyam, Moksha, that only can get us out of that. Because when we realize our nature as in the deluded form, then Jiva is the superimposition and Paramatma is the substratum. Right? So when Jiva goes to Jagat, when he turns towards Jagat or turns his desires towards Jagat, he is the limited Jivatma. But when that same Jivatma, he turns his vision towards Brahman, then he becomes, or turns his vision to Ishvara, you can say, he becomes one with his highest nature, which is Brahman. So surrender and he becomes the substratum too. He also becomes the substratum. वो भी स्वयं अधिष्ठान बन जाता है. And that Paramatma is what we say Niratam towards us. If you follow Chinmay mission and then we chant this, no? Niratam Karunamayam. We say about Chinmay Dev. Namami Chinmayam Devam. So Niratam Karunamayam, that represents the extreme love that gurus have towards us when they give us this knowledge. Same, that love is what that has been passed directly from Parameshwar only, from Ishwar only. Yes. So if we know Niratam, the word, then The word there is rati. So rati means to love. Rati means to love totally. So whenever we do an action, कोई भी कर्म करते हैं हम, whenever we do any action, why do we do that? There are two kinds of pressures. One is the external pressure, we, that we call the outside pressure, that someone dictates something to you. ऐसा करना पड़ेगा, and then you do it. So that is vidhi. That is Vidhi. We call Brahma ji also by the name Vidhi. So because he dictates everything, how it's going to happen. And then there is an internal pressure. That is the pressure of self-will. Swacha, Swecha, Atmicha se. That is love. That is Rath. So what Westerners say, in Western philosophy, they say conscious. In our system, we call it neo. To totally immerse yourself into the thing you want to do. But it has a deeper meaning also. So if they say that why do we do good deeds? This is because of the consciousness, conscience inside us. But for them, Ishvara doesn't reside in the heart. Ishvara is something there high in the seventh heaven. So pressure for doing duty or kartavya will always for them come from outside. Whereas the Vedika will say what? That Ishvara resides in the heart. So Niyog and Vidhi is accepted by Veda also. But so long as knowledge is not there, you will need Vidhi. But after knowledge, Niyog comes naturally. The desire to do something out of understanding. Understanding, Niyoga, that I am one with the thing I am acting upon. So in Western philosophy, they have separated that into the id and the superego. From id comes your selfish desires, and from the superego comes the good deeds. So they have separated this into the devil and the God. But if we take in our system Jiva and Ishvara as separate, then this war can never come to an end. So Vedanta says they cannot be separate. If your mind has indulged in some activity by error, then when that knowledge comes, it will stop that activity. कुछ भी गलती से आप कर रहे हो, जब आपको ज्ञान हो जाएगा, आप वो करना बंद कर दोगे. So the best way is to go by the path of nirati or rati or prem. So always, whenever we do some duty, what happens when we do something by force? कोई डांट के करवाता है तो कैसा होता है? हम मन से नहीं करते. We don't do it with a full mind, right? We don't do it willingly, or we are disturbed that we are being forced to do something, right? But that same thing, if you are doing out of our genuine passion, our interest or love, then doing that action will be filled with joy. So that is the secret of doing your action. You imbue it with the love, with the understanding, why am I doing this? If I am doing everything for Paramatma, then my work becomes every moment a fullness of joy is filling my work. So the difference, the mark or the recognition of a wise man is that what others do by external pressure, he does out of love. That is why he doesn't need to be told again and again, na, beta ye kar lo, beta wo kar lo. Usko कहने की जरूरत नहीं है. You don't. There are some children who will always do something without you telling them. And that is the child you appreciate. So like today's children are slowly becoming very, very mature at very young ages. They are learning things. They are very interested. They are interested in our culture, in our system. And because of that, they are able to do things which we didn't think in our age. We never learned those things in our age. So, so this duty, if we do through this love inside, then it will always give us a lot of pleasure. If someone is doing something purely for getting fruit, the outer action for you can say the karma kandi, and or the reverse for the jnana kandi. It is the outer action is same for both. Both are doing the same thing. But one is giving limited fruit. The karma kanda will give limited fruit. While the other, with the knowledge of the infinite self, it will give limitless fruit. Same action. So what is done with love for Paramatma, it gives us unlimited fruit. So Niratam is actually total love. No boundaries. And no boundaries. Love, does it have a boundary? Love doesn't have a boundary. When you love someone, you do anything for them. So in the world, the desire and the object of desire are separate. Anything you look in the world, na, kuch bhi dekh lo, in the world, worldly things you look, the desire for an object. So the desire and the object are separate. So laddu is separate from his desire. But for Paramatma, he himself is the desire and he is also the object of the desire. That is why for Paramatma, desire can never give sorrow. कुछ भी कर लो परमात्मा के लिए, कभी दुख नहीं मिलेगा. So whatever you desire to do for Paramatma, it can never give you sorrow because it can never be hindered. What is sorrow? Sorrow is hindering of desire, and joy is accomplishing it. So जब भी आपकी इच्छा को कोई रोक देता है, someone limits you, then you have sorrow. While someone lets you go free, enjoy, do what you want, then you have joy, right? So any limitation is called sorrow, and any kind of freedom is called joy. So some may say we experience pain also in the path of Ishvara. It happens. So that is so because there is still the delusion that I am separate from Paramatma. So he can be away from me and he will test you. He will test you. Once the oneness comes, then only the test will stop coming. But for there is another kind of pain, which is for the bhakta. So that bhakta, whenever he separates from the Lord, he is that is called viraha. And viraha is like separation, but separation with joy. He finds joy in that also. Right? So whatever we have wrong notions, that wrong notion or that delusion, we call it Brahma. Brahm bolte hain uske. Like we have an error of direction that we call Dik Brahma. I don't know where we are going. So like you are going in a mountain road, round and round and round. Even after knowing the direction, the mistake still happens. We will not be able to know which direction we are going after some time. So this Dik Brahma, this Brahma, because of this Brahma, we perceive Paramatma as separate from us. And that is when we need to fear him. Bhayat Agni Tapati. Agni is separate from Paramatma. Agni doesn't have that oneness with Paramatma. So when that separation is there, then fear has to be coming. So, but like we are moving to a new house, we lose direction of which window opens to which direction. But slowly over time, when the practice is strong, the error doesn't happen. So therefore, same way with knowledge. Whenever we gain this knowledge, when it becomes strong, then the mistake doesn't happen. So whenever the Jnani, he does transaction with the world, he sees all of them as his self only. So he says, let me keep doing vyavahara with them. Let me keep doing transactions with all the people. Otherwise, what will happen? They will say he's deranged. He's mad. He's sitting in his corner all the time. So no, he will always do the things that are right. But the difference is he will always employ the right method to attain his aims. That is Nirata. He won't use ill means for even the loftiest of goals. So like, the government will sell liquor to make money. And from that money, it wants to feed you. But is that right? So that money has come from a wrong thing. So maybe for some people, they might argue that they need it. But ultimately, it is using a wrong means to a wrong end. So the joy that you are giving, the joy that the government is giving through some help to us is negated by that. So always we have to apply the right method, the dharmic method, to achieve our desires and aims. So then our sankalpa, our thought for attaining something or our direction of our action will always be right. Because, for Paramatma, we saw the desire and the object are the same. So whenever we offer our sankalpa, what is our sankalpa? Our sankalpa is moving towards Paramatma. So once we move towards Paramatma, then we have to be careful that never take the wrong direction, never take the wrong method to reach him. Some people know for meditation, they will take some drugs. or psychedelic substances. It's the wrong way. You think that you are seeing something in meditation. No, ultimately, I have seen some people reach very, very sorry states in their life because they took to this method, right? So we have to take always be careful to choose the right method for the right goal. For the wrong goal, okay, you want to go to your ruin, there is no helping you. But if you are going to the right goal, then for the right goal, the means also has to be right. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप कुछ भी बोल दो, झूठ बोल दो, वो किसी को चोट पहुंचा दो. Ultimate end, no? We saw in Pur Sukta also that in communism, the goal was good. सबको बराबर होना है. Everyone is equal. But for that, so much of pain was given to the people in that. So much restrictions in communism. Yeah. So there. So now we'll move to the next mantra. So इह चेच्छकदबोद्धुम् प्राक्शरीरस्य विश्रसः ततः सर्गेषु लोकेषु शरीरत्वाय कल्पते. इह चेच्छकदबोद्धुम् प्राक्शरीरस्य विश्रसः ततः सर्गेषु लोकेषु शरीरत्वाय कल्पते. शरीरत्वाय कल्पते. So here we saw that Brahma Swarupam has been talked about in the first three mantras. So here, after Yama Dharmaraja has talked about the actual goal that we are going to go for, now he's talking about the conditions required for Brahma Jnanam, the favorable factors required. So what is the first and the foremost favorable factor? I should be a human being. Because this birth, this Manushya Janma is durlabham. So we always take the human birth for granted. But it is said that there are 84 lakh yonis. And getting this one, the only one through which we have the ability or the capacity to think, to meditate and to discover our nature. It is a unique thing. So therefore, for crossing the ocean of samsara, we require a special boat. We require a unique boat. And that special boat is the human body. And it is a very costly boat. It's a very, very costly boat because the cost is great punyam, mahata punya panne. While paying a lot of punya money, we have purchased this boat for crossing the ocean of samsara. And this boat cannot permanently remain also. Anytime this will disappear. And therefore, before it is lost, better to cross. Before it is lost, better to reach the state of moksha. So here Yamadharmaraja was iha chet ashakat buddhum. A person has to know this truth iha, in this janma itself, here itself. Iha means manushya janmani. And when sharirasya visrasaha prak, before the body is dropped. Prak is before. So sharirasya visrasa, before the body gets floated away or decayed or dead. So before the body is dropped. So even before the body goes, that is while one is alive, one has to know this Atma. And if a person knows, we have to complete this by adding that sansara bandhana vimuchyate, for getting released from the sansara bandhana. So therefore, one must never squander this opportunity, right? So, but if we do squander, what will happen? Shariratvaye kalpate. He will be fit only for another janma, for the acquisition of another physical body. So Yamadharmaraja says here, Shariratvaye. He does not say Manushya Sharira. Carefully. Sharira. So it can be any Shariram. So he will be born in any Shariram. It can be a lower body. And Sargeshu Lokeshu. Any one of the 14 lokas created by the Lord. Sarg means to create, right? Sarg means the creation. Right? So we have the Sarga Srishti and the Visarga Srishti of Brahmaji. So one is the one without the 5 elements, other is with the 5 elements. So जो सर्ग सृष्टि है without the 5 elements, and that Visarga Srishti is, then he takes the 5 elements and from them he makes the remaining things. Right? So it's not here, it's there in other texts. So this is an adjective to loka. So he can appear anywhere and again and again in maybe again in a human birth also. Yeah, but it might happen after millions of births. So out of compassion for us, out of love for us, out of that niratam that we talked about, he is frightening us. He is frightening us so that we may recognize the value. So whether we are tired of repeated births or not, Yamadharmaraja is tired. Catching the same person again and again is bored him. So therefore he says, I'm bored. Why can't you get liberated? Please do something. You do something for yourself. So that is why before leaving the body, strive for moksha in this Janma only. Otherwise, I will keep taking births in all the different lokas. So escaping from all sorrow and fear and reveling in that bliss of Paramatma is the only possible way. Only possible way through what? Through self-knowledge. So Jiva should hasten to attain this knowledge. Because everyone fears the king. Everyone fears the king. But when you become the king, you fear no one else. So strive to become the king. Why should you remain a subject? So we all fear Ishvara, but when we attain to him, no fear remains. Koi bhai nahi reh jata. So this should be done in this body itself. Prak sharirasya visrasaha. As there is no guarantee in the other words. So human birth is one where we have the intellect and the ability to think and analyze and separate right from wrong and real from unreal. Other birth you cannot do. So the word here is used as nara. So nara means naramanam. Not engrossing into sense objects. वस्तुओं में रमण ना करना. So even animals can enjoy sense objects. Humans can also enjoy sense objects. The uniqueness of human birth is what? He can turn away from them and towards Paramatma. Right? So, like we enjoyed something, enjoyed some good food. So that experience is same for the animal also. But what about human? Human can think. Human can think how he got it by karma phalam. And that karma phalam was given by whom? By Ishvara. So then he can analyze that, yes, if I have to improve, I have to get good things in life, I have to improve my karma phalam. So this analysis animals cannot do. And if humans also don't do, then they are no better than animals. So humans have this opportunity to do this. So how to best enjoy an object comes through thinking. You can you have to know the right use for an object. So if there was some guy who went to a village and there he saw that this person was keeping his clothes in a weird kind of cupboard. So he said, the villager said, okay, please have a look. This door keeps getting closing and no proper lock on that. So he saw he was using a refrigerator. So Maharaj given to. So he said, you have to keep things cold inside. This is for food, not for clothes. So you can use a refrigerator as a cupboard, but that is not the right use, na? So therefore, the right use for this body also is to attain moksha. So before this body is lost, one must attain knowledge. So as soon as the thought comes that knowing God is necessary, then the effort will start. The effort should start. So first that thought should come. That can come through by good karma, by good directions, or through realizing the transitoriness, the limitedness of the objects and the joy that they give. So once the analysis begins, we go towards this direction. So before the body goes, also remember one more thing, does not mean in the last moment. Abhi body is going and then you start thinking. You can never tell when that moment might come. So actually it means now. It means now it is very difficult to attain in other yonis. So start doing it now. And the yoni thing will come in the next mantra. So we'll just look at that also. यथा यथा आदर्शे तथा आत्मनि यथा स्वप्ने तथा पितृलोके यथाप्सु परिव ददृशे तथा गंधर्वलोके छाया तपोरिव ब्रह्मलोके यथा आदर्शे तथा आत्मनि यथा स्वप्ने तथा पितृलोके यथाप्सु परिव ददृशे तथा गंधर्वलोके छाया तपयोरिव ब्रह्मलोके. It's not a synchronized shloka. The first part is small, second is bigger. So yatha adarshe तथा आत्मनि यथा स्वप्ने तथा पितृलोके यथा अप्सु परिव ददृशे तथा गंधर्व लोके छाया तपयो इव ब्रह्मलोके. So here there are given here four conditions. So yatha adarshe तथा आत्मनि. So this self knowledge is available to us in different levels of clarity. Right? So all the different birds are there. They have this different. So here Yamadharmaraja is discussing that whether this knowledge that we are talking about, it can be acquired in any other loka. And he accepts that this knowledge can be acquired in some other loka also. That is allowed. But he wants to say that even though this knowledge can be acquired in other lokas or other janmas, but the best is Manushya Loka and Manushya Janma. So thus to talk about the superiority of Manushya Loka, he is comparing the other possibility. So here he says, Yatha Adarshe Tatha Iha Atmani. So here Atma means Manushya Buddhi or in this human birth. So one can gain the knowledge in the human intellect and that knowledge will be crystal clear. Just like Adarshe, just like seeing your face in a mirror, very, very clearly seen. So just as a person can see the face very clearly in a clear mirror, so this knowledge, this Atma Jnanam is available in Manushya Loka very, very clearly. What is the second one? Tatha Pitriloke. In Pitrilok, what happens? In Pitrilok, the knowledge is possible, but problem is it will not be very clear. It will be only very, very vague. How vague? Yatha Swapne. So just as in a dream, the things are very fleeting, quickly changing. Sometimes you don't even remember the dream when you wake up. Sometimes you remember parts. So dream is based on our thought process, which are highly changing. Therefore, in Swapna, everything is we call vague, asfuta. That is why often we are not able to even remember the dream. So therefore, in Pitrilok also, knowledge is possible, but it is vague, as in a dream. So then there is another lok where that knowledge is possible. What is that? Tatha Gandharva Loke, another higher loka. So world of arts, music, dance. So when the music season is there. So in the Gandharva Loka, it is permanently music season. Loka of enjoyment. So in that world also knowledge can be gained. But that is also very vague. Yatha Apsu Iva Paridadrishe. So he will gain the knowledge exactly like seeing his face in the water. Yatha Apsu Iva Paridadrishe. So like looking at your face in the water. So when you look at your image in the water, you get a vague outline, not very, very clear. It depends on the water, but still it will never be as clear as the mirror. That much is sure. No, it cannot be as clear. So if the also if the water is disturbed by the wind, then also it will be very, very vague. So therefore in Gandharva Loka also the knowledge is vague. Then what about Brahma Loka? So here Yamadharmaraja says certainly knowledge is possible in Brahma Loka, which we call in technical terms it is Krama Mukti. So Krama Mukti, it is there discussed in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also. So when you focus very inwardly, very strongly at the moment of death, you remember you ask the name of the Lord, then he will take you to Brahma Loka. And there you can study in the best classrooms, IIT level classrooms. And then you will the teachers are also the best and you will easily get that knowledge. So it is Chaya Tapayor Ivaha, just like shadow and darkness. Very, very clearly you can separate them. Or you can say light or sunlight or shade. So just like darkness and light are very, very distinct. Similarly, distinctly knowledge can be gained in Brahmalok also. So thus, what are the possibilities here? Manushyalok, Pitrilok, Gandharvalok and Brahmalok. So now which should we choose? Of these four we have seen, Pitrilok and Gandharvalok we can rule out. Pitrilok and Gandharvalok, we can rule out because the knowledge there is vague. Vague. The Swapna knowledge, vague. The image in the water, it's also vague. So we can rule this out. Then what about Brahmalok? That is best class is IIT. So there can we not think of. But the thing is going there is very, very difficult. Getting that kind of punyam. No? So people say, no, it's very, very easy to imagine that thing. At the last moment, you should be remembering the Lord. Can you do that? You will be busy with your pain. Unless it is your lifetime sadhana or tapasya, at the last moment you will not remember. You will remember something else. Right? So that is why going to Brahmalok, going to that Brahmalok for the final release, it is very, very tough. Then there are other conditions. You have to die in Uttarayan. Because Bhishma Pitama, he waited for Uttarayan. So when that sun is towards the northern side, so that portion of the time also you have to wait. So there is a lot of restricting conditions. So the upasanas and all, they are very, very difficult. So you have to be very, very careful to choose that path. Right? It is not easy. So now what about Manushya Janma? Is it difficult like Brahmaloka? No, because we already have Manushya Janma. No? So you just utilize that. We are supposed to be a human being right now. I hope we are. So therefore, Manushya Janma is very difficult to get, of course. But you need not work for that because of some punya we have already done. We are now born as human beings. Huh? So therefore, don't postpone. Don't postpone. Make maximum full use of this available Manushya Janma. This is the significance of this mantra. So whether a person will get knowledge in Pitrilok, Gandharvalok is not the question. Manushya Janma we have to make full use of. That is the main message or the thought that is being conveyed. So we'll look at the next one. Indriyanam pithak bhavam udayastamayochayat पृथक उत्पद्यमानानां मत्वा धीरो न शोचति इंद्रियाणां पृथक भावम् उदयास्तमयोचयत् पृथक उत्पद्यमानानां मत्वा धीरो न शोचति. So indriyanam prithak bhavam, the sense organs have different sense objects for them, huh? And they are born in different ways. Utpadyamananam. They are born out of different means of different. All the five sense organs are born out of five different elements. If you remember from the earlier class, huh? So. So the one who realizes their difference or that they are not one, that person does not grieve. Matva dhiro na shochati. So here the first sadhan is highlighted as we saw in the previous verse, valuing the Manushya Janma, utilizing the Manushya Janma appropriately. So in this mantra, the second value is highlighted. So one is that one should do the Atma and Atma Vivek. One should discriminate the individual nature from the total nature and then search for that oneness. Then only that when we search the essence, so sar kya hai? So that essence is when we reach Aham Brahmas. When we reach, they say that I am one with that eternal soul. So because when I use the word Aham, I can refer to any aspect of personality. So I can represent to the Sthul Shari, Sukshma Shari, Karan Shari. But the most important one is what? Chaitanya. I has to refer to the Chaitanya. So once I get my reference frame right, then I can correlate my Chaitanya to Ishvara Chaitanya, and that both are the same one. Right? So therefore, we use the word refer the word Aham in the right sense. That is the first step. So, like, when I say anything I say about the misconception that I have, when I say I'm very, very old, or I'm very, very, I'm very sick. So all these are referring to the physical body, right? Or if you are talking about the Sukshma Shariram, then the Sukshma Shariram, we can say, I cannot see properly or I cannot hear properly. So I'm talking about not I. So that correction I have to do. So I have to remember that the concept of old, young, seeing, hearing, all are from the standpoint of the body. Similarly, sometimes we use the word like when we are using this word as I am Brahman. No. So unless the teacher tells us, first we have to understand the concept of Brahman also as infinite consciousness. Initially, I am learning as my consciousness. I don't see my consciousness as infinite. I see my consciousness functioning through the body. So I have to understand the consciousness infinite as Brahman. So I have to convert the second person to the first person. I have to relate that Brahman I see separate from me as one with. So with practice, I have to relate that Brahman as something outside of me as to one with me. So therefore, this knowledge should be so firm that there should never be a jerk in the mind when it comes. There should never be a feeling, oh, is it right? No hesitation in the mind. So that is all possible only under one condition, when he uses the word I or aham as Chaitanya, as Brahma Chaitanya. So the I should immediately refer to as the Chaitanya aspect. But if he is remaining at the physical or the emotional level, then he will be full of worries. So if he is going to be an emotional personality, then even while listening to Vedanta, the teacher is saying that you are Ananda Swarupa. And the student is wondering, the poor teacher, you don't know our family stories. Once you come to our family, you'll know what Anand Swarupa means. So he is talking about his own standpoint from his worries as an individual functioning through the body. So if I should own up, I am Ananda Swarupa, I have to withdraw myself from all the physical, emotional, sensory, intellectual, all these personalities I should set aside. So this is called, in technical terms, Tvam Pada Shodhanam. Tvam is Tata is Brahman, Tata Pad Shodhanam, Tvam is the individual. To realize what part of the individual I have to take as my essence. So withdrawing from Anatma and identifying with Atma. And therefore, from the standpoint of Atma, I can comfortably say Aham Brahmasmi. So therefore, important sadhana in disidentifying from all the instruments of interactions, or disidentifying here, Yamadharma Raja is saying, Indriyana Udayaha Astam Ayo Natva. By studying the three states of experience. What are the three states? Waking, dream, and deep sleep. So Jagrita Avastha, Swapna Avastha, or Sushupti. So in these states, in the three states of experience, the organs are not available always. They are not available in the deep sleep state, and even in the dream state, the organs are different. The set of organs are different. So by studying this Avasthatrayam, I can see that the temporary instruments that I use for my transactions, they are not me. So like I'm using my spectacles, no. So usually my habit is, if I'm told to identify the objects in this room, I will never reach the spectacles because they are so close to me. Same way the instruments also so close to me. I am using them regularly. So, and I'm not able to see you if I remove the spectacles. So same way we don't realize their existence as something separate from us. So transactions can end, but the transactor doesn't end. So transactions are incidental, but the transactor is not incidental. The transactions are happening through the sense organs only. But the problem is, as I have told, the spectacles are worn so closely that they are taken as the very subject itself. हम इसको अपने साथ ही समझते हैं. I forget that the spectacles are objects outside of me. So therefore, every instrument is an intimate object. And because of that intimacy, because it is so close, it appears as the subject. So how do you know they are different? In Jagrita Avastha, I use them. In Sushupti Avastha, I disown them. Therefore, Udaya Astamayo. Udaya means to rise and Asta means to set. So therefore, they rise and set. So therefore, they are resolved in this state. So all these organs arise and resolve. But what about me? I continue. I continue as the witness. So Uday Astamayo Indriyanam, we have to know. And then the next step of learning is whatever is incidental, जो कभी कभी होता है, is not intrinsic to me. Therefore, I am different from them. They are कभी आए कभी गए. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not. That means they are not intrinsic to me. I am different from them. Therefore, he says Indriyanam Prithak Bhavam. Prithak. There. So first lesson I understand them is to be incidental, subject to arrival and departure. Second is that whatever incidental is not my intrinsic nature. जो कभी कभी दिख रहा है मेरा स्वरूप नहीं हो सकता. It can never be my own nature. It is a temporary appearance. So this is called prithak bhavam. Prithak means separate, bhavam means to appear. अलग हमसे दिख रहा है. So their distinction or their separateness from me. And why are they separate from me? Prithak utpadde manana. They are separately born and gone. So that is why even when a person becomes blind, the sense organ is there. The sense organ is not there. It's gone blind. But the person is there. Person has not gone. So sense organ is gone, but the person is still there. So that means what? Perception is only an incidental nature because of the eye. When the eyes are gone, I continue to exist without having the perception. I exist how? I exist as awareness, consciousness, right? And one who knows that matva, or one who knows that matva dhiraha na sochati. So that person does not grieve, right? So that grieve part we'll look at in the next, because time is up for today. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.